Hey friend, my name's James. I'm one of the pastors here at Bayside. Thanks for joining us on The Refuel. Today, I want to share with you a life hack. Have you guys seen these? I know you have. If you've seen these, they're crazy. Some of them can really transform like how you cook or where you go. It can even transform how you use technology because people find these new hacks, these new ways of doing something, and it transforms how we interact with our devices or our meals. Here's one that I found. If you have an Apple Watch and you have an Apple phone, if you're an Android user, we're praying for you. Okay, but if you're Apple, then you can hold down the ping on your watch. It not only then pings, but it flashes. Okay, this is key. I know, you're like, why are you sharing this on The Refuel? When you hold down the ping and it flashes, then when I send my 7-year-old or my 4-year-old to go find my phone, not only do they hear it, but then they can see it. It has changed the game for me. Why am I sharing that with you? Because what I did was, I leaned in on someone else's experience. Experience is what? It's also wisdom because they've learned how to interact with something. And so I leaned in on their experience and their wisdom, and it's transformed how I interact with something I already had. Well, I tell you that because we've been going book by book or chapter by chapter through the book of Mark. And as we've been doing that, John Mark is telling the church at Rome this story of this new king and how we interact in his kingdom. It's there, but they don't always understand what's taking place. Well, something happens in Mark chapter 6 that is so key. Now, Mark chapter 6 is where we see some miraculous things happen, but there's 2 verses that I think you could just skim over and pass by, but I think they're a game changer. You ready? Mark chapter 6, verses 55 and 56. I'll read it for us. It says, they ran out through the whole region and carried the sick on mats. Make a highlight in your mind. They carried the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. Who's he? Jesus. Okay, check this out, verse 55. They're carrying the sick people on mats to wherever Jesus is. Can you think back for a moment? We shared this on the weekend. There were 4 people who found a paralyzed man. They took him to a house that was so packed. They climbed on top of the house. They tore a hole in the roof and they lowered him down on his mat and he was healed. Now people in Mark chapter 6 are doing the same thing because they're going, remember what Jesus did? If he did it for that guy, for that group of people, he'll do it for us as well. Oh, wait, I'm not done. Verse 56. And wherever he went, into villages, towns, or countryside, they placed the sick in marketplaces. You ready for this? They begged him to let them touch even the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. Do you remember this? This is from Mark chapter 5, the woman with the issue of blood, the woman who was labeled by her problem, but then she was labeled daughter by Jesus. Why? Because she pressed through the crowd and she touched the hem of his garment and was healed. Mark chapter 6 is amazing because it's telling us that people leaned in on the wisdom of other people's experiences. They gathered that knowledge of interaction with this new king and new kingdom, and now they're living a transformed life. Now they're doing the same things that they saw. What would that look like for you today? I'm not telling you need to start, taking people on mats places or, wrestling people to the ground and grabbing their jacket. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. There are ways of interacting with this new king, this King Jesus, that are different. It's the path of grace and mercy. It's loving him first and then loving our neighbor. What would it look like today to do 2 things? First of all, I want God to hear my voice. As his son or daughter, I want to talk to God. I'm going to interact with him. I have an interaction, a way of doing that. Listen, we know that prayer is a conversation with God that's pivotal for our lives. Number 2, today you need to hear the voice of God. Now, you're ready to just go ahead and turn this off. What do you mean hear the voice of God? Is this going to be James Earl Jones or Morgan Freeman in my ear? No. If you want to hear God's voice, you start with a verse. Start with a verse. Go to the scriptures and go, what is God's word saying to me today? I think today, one of the greatest things you could take away from this refuel is to go, hey, people were interacting with Jesus based on faith that other people's prayers and problems had been answered. What if you look around your life today, you think about some people that have had prayers, miracles, moments in their life where God intervened, and it gives you the faith to ask him again. To ask him again for what it is that you're asking him to do in your life. Let's take him our problems. Let's take him our requests. Let's go to him boldly, as Hebrews says, and approach his throne so that we might find our answer in the time of need. Hey, I hope that's a life hack and a spiritual hack all in one. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Look forward to talking to you soon.